Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kizma. I'm Nick, and today we are talking about a big one, everybody. We are continuing our series on working with the law, and today we are talking about the law of attraction.
It's Christmas. I love this one. Hello and welcome to Illumination Podcast with Nick and Kizma, bringing you ancient wisdom for modern day success so that you can have the mindset to get your life and business set.
As always, thank you for tuning in. And if you're new to the podcast, take a quick second to hit the subscribe button in iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher. If you want to get the inside info for this and every episode, as well as some free gifts, go to illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. And now let's dive in to get your mindset for your life and business set. Hello, Kizma.
Hello. I'm so excited.
You are so excited. Why are you excited?
Because we're talking about the law of attraction, real law of attraction, the truth, the divine truth, people.
The LOA. I see a lot of people who talk about the LOA.
Wait, what's LOA?
It's the law of attraction.
Oh.
Yeah. That's how they refer, it's like LOA.
LOA,
it's like
yeah.
Shorthand.
I thought you meant Electric Light Orchestra or something.
That's ELO.
Oh, okay.
Great band, by the way.
And we've not been drinking, I swear.
A little kombucha.
A little kombucha. Simple kind.
Well, law of attraction has gotten a lot of attention.
A lot. Continues to, which is a really cool thing.
I think it is a cool thing.
Because it means the path has been laid that people, we do a lot in creating our reality. So it's quite exciting. It gets a lot of attention and it gets a lot of hype, I think in a way that is misconceptions,
misunderstanding.
Yeah.
And I think that's true of anything that gets a really wide attention and really wide awareness suddenly.
Right.
Like, okay, here's this new thing. Like, this is really good. It's not really new, it's
no.
Well, it's not new, but the conversation around it is newer.
It's been heightened since the book, The Secret, in the movie.
Absolutely, since then, and then a few other things, slightly before that, and then following that.
But I think The Secret was the one where Bob Proctor kind of came out of, the closet and made it mainstream. And unfortunately, through that, I think there were a lot of the deep spiritual teachings that weren't revealed. Or things, of course, Bob Proctor's amazing and things that he knows and shares, but it wasn't just all him.
Right.
There were all these other people coming in. There's so many great, amazing people.
Yeah, and it was brilliantly marketed.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think is cool about it is, now there's a whole new conversation about the metaphysical laws, the unseen laws.
Absolutely.
Wow, that's so cool. And the law of attraction, I think this is the one to me that gets the most attention.
Yeah.
And also has the most misunderstanding around
exactly. It. So we get to talk about it here.
We do, and we're gonna dive into it. So tell me, for you, and I know that you even follow this more closely than I do. Some what people are saying about that, what they what people are teaching around the law of attraction. What do you see as the number one biggest misunderstanding?
It's a misunderstanding, or perhaps I'm going to put it this way. It's a lack of the depth. So it's like, I'm going to manifest that. I just need to manifest that money. I just need to manifest this relationship. I'm going to think about it and it's going to come. Mm-hmm. And this is fact at the surface layer. I'm going to think about it and it's going to come. But when we, go through this podcast, what we want to reveal, I believe, is that what's the consistency of the thought? And more importantly, what are the thoughts going on when you're not thinking about that person you want to manifest or the money you want to manifest? There is a consistency of the field, of the person, of the thoughts that determines what we're attracting.
Yeah. And that's true self-mastery.
It's true self-mastery. I mean, I'm going to take it here just right off the bat, because I remember that one time we were in one of our first trips to India, listening to Swami Parthasarathi, and he's like, you get what you deserve, not what you desire. And I was like, damn, is this real?
You're coming right out with it.
Well, because let's start there and then we'll reverse engineer it.
All right.
You get what you deserve, not what you desire. And I was like, oh man, this sucks. And then at the more exquisite layer and level, when we elevate what we're thinking, what we're desiring, why we desire what it is we desire, that level of deserving becomes very sparkly, right? Because it is, if our thoughts are going into the gutter and against the divine laws, if we're working against the divine laws and we're not using them to what it is we want to create, we're going to get what we deserve because we're turning our shoulder against the universe.
Right. Yeah, or shouldering all of the burden.
Exactly.
Right? One of the ways that I see it get super, super muddy around that is then it becomes a conversation about karma. Well, what did I do to deserve this? Or how did I create this in my life? And it gets super, super sticky with all these other things around it. And before we even dive into this law, that's one thing that I want to really encourage people is like, it's now. This is what you have is right now. So you can have all kinds of conversation about how you wound up here and how you manifested people and things and circumstances in your life. And that's all neat. And it's mostly just mental masturbation because at the end of the day, you're here regardless. Right. And the more clear and focused and present and grounded that you can be right here, the more empowered you are to do something about it if you want to make a change in your life. If you don't want to make a change in your life, well, I'm not even sure why you're listening to this podcast.
But our listeners want to change.
I think they
want everything. And not that, life is good, but I think we're all looking for that elevation.
Yeah, that's
why we're here. That's why we're on the planet.
Exactly. So you do want to change or improve or shift something in your life. And the now is where it is.
Right.
Like this is the most empowering place.
Exactly.
So you can get off all into that in an esoteric way, and that's really neat and everything. But at the end of the day, it all starts now.
Right.
Okay. He starts off this chapter. This is, by the way, if you've not listened to the rest of this series, go back a few episodes and check them out. It's the Working with the Law series. It's written by Raymond Hollywell. And
you've had this book for a while.
I have.
And I stole it, and then I had to buy you another copy.
Yeah, because you and I read very differently. Know. Yeah, you really like to.
I mark it up, I bend it, I fold everything.
I'm a rereader.
Yeah.
And so I know my places because they're the most worn places in the book. Because I'll go back through.
Yeah.
There's the law that we're going to close out with is one that I've read through many times.
You come next week.
I think the week after next.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. So anyway, we're in the law of attraction. And he starts out with this amazing quote. He says, "To desire is to expect. To expect is to achieve."
I'll say that again.
To desire is to expect, and to expect is to achieve.
That's so good.
Now, I could go into this. I don't think there's really a lot to read. I mean, it's a great chapter in the book, but the thing that really stood out to me is he says here along those lines, never expect a thing you do not want and never desire a thing you do not expect.
Okay, I get the never expect a thing you don't want. What's the second part about?
Never desire a thing you don't expect. What that means is, okay.
Oh, you're in control of your expectations.
Kinda. So what it means is never desire a thing you don't want. Right? Because basically
you'll get it.
You're going to
get it.
Yeah. You're feeding energy into that desire.
And let me insert when we're thinking about something we don't want, everyone, there's usually can be oftentimes a nuance of fear, and fear can charge things.
Yeah.
The lower vibe emotions can charge things and bring them in pretty quickly.
Yeah. They amplify it.
Yeah.
Right. Never desire a thing you do not expect. So what that means is if you're spending your time, this is one of the big places where people go off with the law of attraction is they spend a lot of time just desiring, this or that or the other thing, whatever it is that they want in their lives, but they never have no real expectation for it to show up. And as a result of that, when they're riddled with that much either like doubt or just like, I don't know, or, let's see if something's going to work or whatever. It's like, well, all that really is just wasted energy. So
your
energy is going out in all these different channels. And Kismet, you said it right at the beginning is like that focus, that self mastery to have the focus and consistency of your thoughts in order to create something. And when you're just desiring something, you have no expectation of that showing up. Well, you're just wasting your time basically.
Opening loops.
So the first phase of desire, this is from the book. The first phase of desire embraces a positive process of attraction. That is, when an individual earnestly desires a thing, he sets up a line of force that connects him with the invisible side of the good desire.
Don't you love that?
I like the way he writes. I do.
It's like so cosmic.
Yeah, I dig it.
Sets up a line or force with the invisible. It's so cool.
It does.
It's true.
It opens a channel.
It's
like
true.
You're basically dialing into a frequency. Should he weaken or change his desire, that particular line of force is disconnected or misses its goal. But if he remains constant in his desire or ambition, the good demanded is sooner or later realized in part or in its entirety. So that's the thing where I think a lot of times people go in a lot of different directions. I certainly have done this myself. Because that is the nature of desire.
Right.
One desire leads to another desire, leads to another. I mean, how many times have you walked into a store not needing hardly anything and you walk out with like a shopping bag or a cart full of stuff?
Right. I mean, it's once a desire is satiated, another one pops up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Just like those shoes. Right? I found a cool pair of shoes when we were in New York, and then there was the other pair of shoes.
I made you buy the second pair.
You didn't make me, but you encouraged me. I did. We talked about it. I tried to back down a little bit, but the same kind of things. Like I before we walked into that store, I had zero desire for shoes.
And then we saw the bright and shiny shoes.
And all of a sudden they were shoes.
And they're great shoes.
And so a lot of people get caught in that bright, shiny thing. Next thing, next thing, next thing. Okay, well now you have this, your mind is riddled with desires.
So congested and so agitated.
And all of that energy is dissipating in so many different channels that none of it has any power.
Right.
So don't do that.
Okay, and we'll get to how not to do that. Don't worry, we're not going to.
Don't do. Stop it.
Stop it.
The great
stop riddling your mind with desires.
Right. Well, you do need to. Well, we can come back to that, but really,
it's important to close the loop because there is a way to not do that.
There is a way to not do that, and we'll come back to that.
Okay, making a note.
The principle involved is that this is back to the book. The principle involved is that you cannot long or yearn for anything unless it already exists, if not in form, then in substance.
Yes.
And desire is the motive power for calling it forth into visible appearance or physical effect.
I love that. Yeah, because the universe is based on the law of duality.
Yeah, exactly.
And if we don't have it, and we think about it, and we have the opposite of not having it, the opposite of it is out there.
It exists.
And it will show up in physical or spiritual form.
Well, this is the law of duality or polarity, in that it says there are always two sides of the coin. You cannot have one without the other.
Exactly.
It's a brain bender. It really is a brain bender because you'll get caught up in, well, but it's not in my hot little hand.
I know.
Right? And okay, that's understandable. And so that's where your Nancy Drew or your Hardy Boys kind of
the will starts to force.
Well, you want to get into that detective mode of like, all right, like I'm going to assume that's the hypothesis. All right. So the hypothesis is that if I have the desire that it actually already exists here for me, cool. Now put on your detective hat and go find it. Like a detective, like Nancy Drew.
Right. Right.
You read the Nancy Drew books.
Of course.
Yeah.
All the time. We go looking. We're playing Nancy Drew. And that is basically us being in action.
It's being in action, and it's setting up this other side of the coin. It is no use to desire a thing unless you expect to get it. Right?
Right.
As he says that right there in the very next sentence, is no use to desire a thing unless you expect to get it. And then, so there's the action behind it, which is cool, but there's also this expectation that it's there. It's there, and I'm simply looking to find it.
I totally get it. So that expectation will magnetize our field, will drive our inspiration, and put us really in full faith that it is there and that it's going to arrive in the perfect way in the perfect time.
Yeah.
And I think that's the other thing to focus on is we can get super clear about a thing that we're going to bring in, and due to karma, due to whatever, divine timing, divine order, it might show up differently.
Yes.
It can show up in a different iteration.
the universe and the laws are so much more creative than the human mind.
And oftentimes, I talk about this for intuition. Oftentimes, we will intuit something so much greater than what our conditioned mind would think about.
Yeah.
And same with manifesting. The universe might provide in such a more fantastical way.
Yeah, exactly.
Got it.
And it is going to find the path of least resistance and the most direct path there.
Right.
Because it works fast. We did a whole episode on how fast these things work when you're really clean and clear, when your energy is super receptive.
Exactly. Now that word resistance is important because when we diminish the magnetism, when we diminish the expectancy, through, as you just said, Nick, will open loops to all these other desires that we don't expect. That is actually diminishing our force.
Exactly.
It's throwing out so many loops and so many chords that one that you said at the beginning of that quote, where it sets up this line of communication.
Right.
And so that one kind of loses energy because we're setting up lines all over the place, but we're not really desiring it to a full effect.
Yeah. Well, it not kind of loses energy. Like that literally drains your energy. And here's what happens is now you've got all these different little things up there. Well, what's going to happen is your head's going to get super cluttered and it's going to create confusion and lack of clarity. And those are really, really great ways to stay stuck.
Right.
Right. To stay stuck in confusion or to stay stuck in that lack of clarity and depleted of energy at the same time. So that is a really good recipe to simply become stuck.
Yeah.
Right. Truly, truly stuck in not being able to make a decision. And if you want your life to flow with momentum, you must make quick, clear decisions.
Right. And the clearer you are, the easier it is to do that.
The most successful people around are the people that make quick, clear decisions.
And can remake the decisions quickly and clearly.
Exactly.
They don't work.
Yeah.
And there was something else, I was thinking about that noise, the anxiety, the lack of organization. We've talked about this in the law of mind thinking or thinking mind action, is that a cluttered mind, thoughts that are not organized are going to manifest things that aren't organized.
Yep.
So back to the vision, back to getting really clear on what is that vision that one wants to create and to hold the flame to it.
Right. And do you want to now, is now the time you want to share, like, how do you weed through that? Like, what do they do?
Well, I take it back to the high level. If we're designing something that we want to create, it has to, I feel, for me, mission-driven, purpose-driven. Even back to, I remember Swamiji talking about toss up an ideal. The ideal has a substance and a hold for something greater than just ourselves. And when it is there, it's like our being, it really leans into it. Everything gets light up. There is a purpose and a path, and it's exciting. Kind of what happens when people want to manifest just money is they get very much attached to the money. And as we talked about in the last episode, it's like squeezing that sponge and not giving the space for it to expand into the universe. So visioning, seeing, expecting is not attachment.
Right.
And this is the fine line, everyone. This is the place I know I can work on every single day in my life, is letting go, having that full faith. That full expectancy that as we stay on the path, because there is work for us to do, there's motion for us to take, there's action for us to be in, it will come in the iteration that is best for us.
Right.
It's when we start going in so many different directions and getting agitated and we doubt and we say things like, I don't know. I can't tell you how many students or clients will come to me at first and they'll be like, I don't know. I'm like, we can't keep saying, I don't know, because we're putting that out into the universe. And guess what we attract? More I don't know, more situations that don't make sense, more things that come in. It's like, I don't know. Why did that come in? Well, because you're so unclear. Make sense?
Yep. Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And it's that it comes back to me. That is you hit the nail right on the head in that is a very common pattern of confusion. And getting stuck in confusion.
Yeah.
And where clarity is really where it's at.
It's a system of creation.
Yeah.
The law of attraction is a system of creation. So I'm going to read my quote that I love. It says, the calmer and more peaceful you are, the better the results. The main thing is to hold the thought. Then proceed to nourish your desire or want with a calm, confident conviction that what you seek will come. As you persist in the state of mind, the good desired will tend to gravitate towards you. It may come almost at once, as in respect to little things of little consequence, like an invitation, a book, or meeting a friend on the street. We've all, I think, gone through that. Mm-hmm. Or it may come by degrees over a period of time, according to the clearness and strength of your demand and the particular form of good desired. In the meantime, be reasonable and practical and do what you can to promote its coming. I love that. Be reasonable and practical and do what you can to promote its coming. No doubt, not wavering, hold the vision.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I just think that's really where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so simple. And I like that this is another part where people talk about really supercharging their emotions in order to manifest.
The feeling, this can be tricky.
So what they're actually doing is, this is why it turns this whole law on its head when you do that, when you really get into the emotion of it and make it all about that. What happens is it flips it upside down. And here's why, is because it's the law of attraction.
Right.
Okay. So it's about attracting.
Right.
And what you're actually doing is mentally willing and manipulating your state in order to really maintain this. So it's actually the opposite of attraction, to try and like manufacture this emotion and have it be a certain way so that you can supercharge this thing and then attract that into your life. It's like, well, you're actually doing the opposite of attracting.
And it might come and there might be all this feeling, but it's like we've talked about before, what goes up comes down.
Yeah.
So it's that neutral state, the expectancy in and of itself is what magnetizes and charges your field to the absolute frequency to attract what you want. It's great to celebrate. It's great to like get it in your heart and all that.
Yeah.
But too much of that, it's what goes up comes down.
Well, what happens is it becomes just like what we do with everything else, is a little bit was good, so I'm going to do way more. More is better.
Yeah.
And what he's saying here is it's not about that.
That calm, peaceful state.
Calm, peaceful state.
The consistent, calm, peaceful state.
And he talks about it elsewhere, where he talks about just wondering about it at odd moments. He's like, just bring it back. You know, it doesn't have to be like some big ritual around it. It's like, this is something that becomes present for you.
Just running in your mind.
Yeah.
I love that.
That you come back to again and again. And it doesn't have to be like some big thing.
Right.
You know?
And the attachment piece, man, again, what is tricky about this, it's the knowing that no matter what, you're going to be okay. Because when we put a condition to what it is we want to attract, so say there's something that we want to bring in, and the condition is, if I don't get this, I'm not going to be okay. And this is the mind bender, that in and of itself goes against the universe. Because the universe is always taking care. Sometimes it takes care in ways we don't like. Sometimes there's odd things that happen, but it is a self-correcting system, this karma in the universe. So when we like put such a heavy load, well, if I don't get this, nothing's going to work, we're denying the very support that we have.
Yeah.
So what is that going to do to the manifestation, to the attraction? Diminish it.
Yes. Or just send it
sideways.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, most likely diminish or send it sideways.
That again has been something so cool for me to work on. It's like, okay, I'm setting this in motion. I'm seeing it. I am going to trust that if this is what is to be, it's going to be. And if for some reason, whether my field isn't resilient enough, there's something else that needs to take place before it needs to come in, I'm going to trust in that. And it's easier to trust when we hold the vision and we have that full faith in the universe, God, Brahman, source, whatever anybody's word is. And we are in action.
All right. Now you're bringing up a really interesting little piece here that I definitely want to talk about, is well, I guess it just wasn't meant to be.
No. It's not that. But I get where people are going to take it.
That's where you can take that. Yeah. It's like, oh, well, it's just not meant to be. Or if it's meant to be, it'll show up. Or,
right. It's
or
more
something
that.
like that. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I just did a video on Facebook for that, which is like, the PSA of it's not meant to be in some of the spiritual conscious communities. So I'm just going to wait around and see if it's meant to be. That's not what I mean at all. We are required to be in action. Like you said, we're required to go and seek that what we desire and to hold the vision. What I'm saying is that there is a divinity, I feel, at large. And if it is not in my highest and best interest for my path and purpose, something else might show up that actually will connect the dots to that other thing. Or it might show up, like we talked about, in a different way. The differentiation is things don't stop. There's movement. There is something happening. There's something arriving. There's a creation. And when we stay in that creation, and it's kind of like, too, for those of you that have your own business and you're manifesting something, you want to bring it in, you might be like, oh, okay, I want X amount of sales next month. I have done that. And interestingly enough, like somebody else has shown up and is like, oh, you need to work with me in order to get that. I'm like, oh man, I wasn't expecting to invest to get it, but that makes sense. Money flows out and in. So we have to be receptive as well. What is in our right path to acquire that very manifestation?
That's right. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that. I hear that a lot.
Right.
And it's one of the biggest things. It's like, well, somebody gets a really clear calling or knowing that this is what I need to do. This is what I need. This is where I go. And then they don't take action.
Yeah.
Right. Because it doesn't look like they want, or it gets confused.
Or it's too much money, or it's this or that. Like if you know it, go.
Yeah. You got to do it. Like otherwise, well, it's not good.
Right.
Now, we're skipping quite a bit here. I really recommend that you pick up the book, by the way. This is an amazing
Link
book.
will be in our show notes.
Yep. illuminationacademy.net/INK
126.
126.
Yeah, baby.
Okay. Now he goes on in the chapter later, he gives three pieces of advice.
Ooh, let's go through those.
And I do want to go through these because they're really important. He says the first one is interest. Right? The first step to take is called interest. Interest is paying special attention to some object or thing. It's being definitely concerned about someone or something. Now, what this means is, and he gives a great example, is, okay, take an interest in what you want to manifest. Okay?
Yeah.
So, and your actions and your choices will reflect what you are truly interested in. So, if you desire to increase your income and you're coming home every night and flopping out on the couch in Netflix or spending countless hours scrolling through social media,
the interest isn't there.
Then, well, the interest is in Netflix and social media.
Got it.
Right. So the interest is there. It's just on something else. So and your choices and your actions are truly reflective of that.
Right.
So you wanted this. I read this and I read it like with new eyes recently, and I went through and made a log of some of the different ways that I spend my time for different reasons. I love cats. Oh my God. I saw one today. There's a cute little kid and they were fostering a kitten. It was amazing. Anyway.
Help.
Exactly. But I went through and I made a list of some of the different ways that I spend my time and kind of looking at that. If you're wondering for yourself, what sorts of things, look through your browser history.
Right.
And you will see where your mind goes.
People
like, have the willingness to do
that. Right.
Look in your phone, look in your apps.
Yeah.
At what ones got the most time and what ones use the most data.
That's good.
And you'll see right away where you're using most of your time.
That's really good.
Okay. They have apps that involve screen time, that tracks your screen time.
Yeah.
And those sorts of things, like if you just really think about that and think about how you're spending your time, well, that's where your true interest is right now.
Right.
Okay, cool. Like that might be a little bit of a tough pill to swallow. I know I had a few in there that I really had to reconsider. And it puts you in the pole position to make a new choice.
Right.
And then you just set out a new set of priorities for yourself. Well, okay, if I desire this, if I desire to increase my income, what sort of things do I need to be spending my time on in order to do that? Maybe you need to be out talking to more people to increase your visibility and awareness. Maybe you need to be studying something that's going to allow you to get a leg up in your field or your industry, or go to make a change in your career. Maybe you need to really start paying attention to something that you want to study that's going to be a new career path for you. Well, those are, instead of flipping on Netflix, then do that.
That's great. I love it.
And that's really
interest.
That's
in attention.
That's showing where your interest lies. And attention is the next one.
Okay.
To have a high interest is not enough. We must inject this interest into our daily labors. So great. So be aware of what you're interested in, pitch up that new thing, and then go do it.
Go do it. Pay attention to it.
Put it on your calendar. If you're a calendar person, like schedule the time out. Look, if you're already working a job, right? So like, let's say you have a regular job or you're doing a lot of things and you want to pick up a new kind of interest. Well, don't kill yourself with it, right? But do set aside time for that, for you to put concerted effort into that. Carve out the time here and there.
I love this. It's also like, not even money, but if someone's interested in having a new relationship, well, again, you can't sit at home on your sofa, right? Like, where's the attention and where's the interest, and then where's the attention? Are you paying attention to your own fitness, to going out, to presenting yourself in a way that you can actually have a nice conversation with someone,
right?
Or are you sitting at home and hiding?
Right.
So good.
Swiping right or swiping left or...
or going... I mean, dating apps I know can be helpful, but if you're only meeting online, that's a little bit tricky too.
Right. Exactly. No, it is taking that next step for it and really making sure that you're devoting the time to that. Yeah.
So good. I love it.
We have a friend... speaking of dating sites, right? And she's on some dating sites and she sees, particularly with the gentlemen, is so many really poorly written profiles.
Keep saying it's my new business. I'm going to write profiles. Just email me, everyonekismetsourcemovement.com if you need a profile written.
But you bring up a great, like take an interest in how you present that. Like if you
pay attention to it.
Go read some really good ones and then make a version of your own that really reflects you. But put some time and effort and give that your attention so that you can put forth your best foot, right?
I love it.
Rather than just kind of,
Yeah, I got it. What's number 3?
Number 3, expectation.
Yes, the charge.
So we've spoken about this before. He says here, the last step we take is expectation. This is an active form of attention. It is attention with intensity. It may be likened to the actions of a cat that waits patiently at the mouse hole.
Gonna come.
The cat expects to catch its prize at any moment.
Yeah.
And
it's pretty chill there. It's like, it's focused. It's got the attention. It knows, and it's expecting that mouse.
I remember as a trumpet player in performance, this was how that peak state was described to me one time, because I'm a cat lover, right? And my teacher knew that. And also, it was something that really began to reveal itself through that. As you're sitting there as a trumpet player in particular, we're sitting back there, we're counting rests. So there's long periods where we're just sitting there doing nothing. And if you're just totally spaced out, you're out of it.
Yeah.
Like you'll definitely miss. And
off your game.
And if you're super tense about the whole thing, well, you're going to burn all your energy. So it really is very much like that cat watching the mouse hole.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's coming.
Yeah.
But there's no stress about it.
Yeah, just chill.
Right? There's no stress because you know it's coming.
You're right,
And you know that you're relaxed and you're ready to just bam, whenever your moment is.
That's great.
No, but it's true also, when you bring that into the law of attraction and how you're working this law in your life.
Interest, attention, and expectation. I love it.
And that gets back to the Nancy Drew conversation, right? Of okay, cool. Like we're expecting it. And now we're taking those actions to position ourselves to take advantage of opportunities to move in that direction.
Right.
It's not about just poof, it's here.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes that happens and that's cool. I always hold the space for those miracles. And I recognize that, well, there might be some things I have to do here.
Right.
So let's get to work.
Now, I need to share something. I want to share something that is super important because we're talking about, just think about these things, everyone. There's interest, there's attention, there's expectation. These are really powerful ways of being. So when, as you were saying, Nick, when the interest or attention goes off to Netflix or off to this or that, same thing with our energy, our vibration, our emotions. When we begin to, for those of you that want to manifest maybe more money, more abundance, if your interest and attention is on what you don't have, guys, this is what's going to grow.
Yeah.
And I see this a lot, when new clients come to me, it's like their language can be in lack. And I'm like, that gets changed first thing, because language is also part of your attention to it, right? Your thoughts, part of your attention to the whole thing. So you want to be focusing on what did work, what has worked, what you do have, and with lots of gratitude. And to manifest the money, I still like it. It's almost like it's in this little, basket, and there's a hot air balloon, and the hot air balloon is the ideal. That's what's going to lift it up into the highest way. If it's just money, it gets really anxiety driven. And there's a fear again, if I don't get it, if I have to have it, something horrible is going to happen.
Right.
And that doesn't feel, you can all feel it doesn't feel good. So back to, man, what is that higher purpose? What is that? What's the why? What can I do? That's going to allow me to continue to be in motion, attention, interest, expectation for that new prosperity.
Right. To that end, especially for people who are just starting out, but also for people who are just like a little ways on their path and maybe getting confused and kind of on again, off again, is give yourself some space to develop it, to develop the interest, right? You don't need to go all out and like every spare minute I'm going to spend studying this thing or doing this, like whatever, so that because that's going to get me where I want to go.
Right.
If you're fired up, I mean, sure, go for it. But at the end of the day, you don't have to do that.
Right. Don't be a wild banshee about it.
Let it build naturally for you, right? If it's something that's really true to you,
right,
and it will build naturally for you.
For sure.
It will continue to
grow. It's a muscle. And the more you build it, that means you're also dialing in your ability to focus, to hold the vision, to drop the lack, the poverty consciousness, and to be in the expectation of really beautiful things that we are by divine right to have,
right,
as being these divine entities.
Yeah.
For those of you that do want assistance, come on over to my free and somewhat secret Facebook group. Secret no longer. It's called Codes of Consciousness. I'm doing a lot of teaching on this, and it's a free group. It's the coolest thing ever. You can find it by going to kismaawake.com/group. So that's KISMAAWAKE.com/groups. Would love to have you. Great group of souls.
Yep. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm in there. Yeah,
you are in there.
Part of it. Yeah.
And Nick even jumps in sometimes and shares little tidbits.
I do. I don't want to step on your toes because it is your group.
It is my group.
And I totally respect that.
Yeah, it's a cool group. So anyways, everyone, love this law of attraction. Create some vision, hold it steady, like hold the flame to that vision, eliminate the noise, avoid getting caught up in the lower vibe stuff that just isn't going to fuel it, and go for it. Man, just go for it. You're an amazing human being. You've got the potential. You've got the energy. This is why we're here on the planet, right? To create and express and manifest. So let's do it.
That's awesome. I can't top that.
No,
Namaste.
You can't. Namaste. Peace. Hey, thanks for jamming with us today. And if you enjoy Illumination Podcast, please go ahead and share it with someone you love. Give us a rating, review, download our podcast. And remember, you can find us at illuminationacademy.net/podcasts. Talk to you soon. Namaste.